Alrighty. So today, Bjermen and I are going to be debating composite Deathstroke versus composite Black Panther. It's going to be an outerversal AP cap, specifically baseline. And for the record, if we have a feat that just so happens to have a layer or be like above baseline to whatever degree, it will automatically be brought back down to baseline as long as we're able to either convince one another or the judges, if need be, that we have outer versal, then that's fine. We're going to be equalizing Hack's potency, and there's going to be zero layers. We're restricting layers. So, with that being said, Benjamin, you want to state your premise?
That's fine. Also, before, you fine with using verse spell, Vicky, for these things?
Sure.
Okay. So my premise is Deathstroke will use anything in his arsenal to help him.
Okay. My premise is Black Panther will use everything at his disposal to help him in this situation.
Okay.
So, what do you got for AP?
Okay. So for AP, Deathstroke would be outer, cause he scales and ends up killing Lapetus or Lapestus, who stated that he could solo the Greek pantheon. This was God Killer Deathstroke to be specific. I'm gonna get all those scans, and then of course the Greek pantheons are from the God Sphere, and I'm gonna explain why the God Sphere is outer. So first of all, here is him versus Lapetus. Uh,
Okay.
and I'm gonna get the statements for him that he'd be able to uh, just solo the entire pantheon.
Sure.
One of these statements that he could do it is also from one of the gods themselves. So
Okay. Do you need to say anything else, post anything else, or can I ask a question?
yeah, you can ask a question.
Okay. So, in this, are they in the God sphere right here?
So the battle takes place in like multiple places basically. They start off on Themyscira, then Lapetus changes the battlefield and slaps them into the god sphere, and then they like have to kill a bunch of demons, and then they just go out of the god sphere and continue fighting him. And they make like no mentions of that, like his strength has changed in any way, and like all the statements that he could solo the god like gods themselves are from like from when he's on Themyscira.
Yeah, but Themyscira, isn't that on Earth or not?
Well, Themyscira's like it's technically on Earth, but it's not scaling the same. Themyscira has been stated that it doesn't work the same. It's also been stated that it's I think it's stated that it's transdimensional, or it's I'll get the statement specifically before just to be exact. Uh, Give me a second. Themyscira.
And you're saying that the statements that they're making them in this place.
Yes, the specific statement like that he could do that is like when he's on Themyscira. Yeah.
Okay.
Here's one. Like Themyscira itself, like it's technically on Earth, but just like many other places on Earth, it has like just unique things about it that makes it scale differently. Other examples, like they mention here, is from like Scartaris and Dinosaur Island, which are like pan-dimensional islands and are stated to be like beyond space and time. So like, yeah, technically they are on Earth, but their scaling is like separate from it in a way.
Yeah, but if this is talking about dimensions and time, and it literally says pan-dimensional, then that would just mean it's high hyper at best.
Or the pan-dimensional is for Dinosaur Island and for Scartaris, not Themyscira. It's just one of the other examples of like
Okay.
places like
So
this that they
why is
mention.
that relevant? So that's
Uh,
another place in Themyscira.
no, basically, so it's an example of like Earth itself has specific places on it that scaling is like different from the planet's own. Like this planet is like 3D, of course. Then you have like Scartaris and Dinosaur Island, which is like pan-dimensional. So like, and it's technically still on Earth, and then like other places that have like similar things with, yeah, their scaling is outside what like normal Earth would be. It's like Amazon, it's a stronghold like Themyscira, the floating fortress, Black Hawk Island, and like Nanda Parbat. Like places like that, their own scaling is like separate from Earth's.
Yeah, it could be separate from Earth's, but it's still seeming like it's bound to dimensionality from this context.
Mm, Let me check. Give me a sec.
Okay. Yeah, because I have no problem with it being like a separate thing from the Earth because there's stuff like that in many different fictions where it seems like it's on Earth, but that's just like one gateway to the overall structure. But the thing is, the statements that you're posting more so support like higher dimensional stuff.
Yeah, give me a sec.
Yeah.
I'm looking through my. There's a specific scan I need to get for Themyscira.
And you mentioned though, I do want to touch this real quick because you mentioned there was no mention of him like becoming like less powerful, but that doesn't inherently matter because we do know if it is somewhere within dimensionality, the new gods aren't inherently at their peak. Like they would actually their true forms are larger than the multiverse is actually shown a lot.
Yeah. So, well, they're not new gods. They're like Greek, but yeah, they have like similar things. They get like smaller, but the beings like this, like they have shown that we know there are beings like from the gods who they are able to use like they're technically like their true form just shrunk down.
Yeah, but you'd have to give an example in this specific situation with Deathstroke of them being able to utilize it in that specific context.
Oh yeah, so at least like it's easy to prove that this is the true form of Laperos. Like that's very easy. They specifically state that like the gods themselves had like literally picked up Laperos and just took him down to Themyscira and then locked him up in Tartarus, like which is contained on Themyscira, like the gate to Tartarus. And then like the Amazons are guard like ordered to use Gardat. So they did place his true form down there, and for I'm gonna get white that they can use their true strength. Give me a sec, there's a specific statement I need. Where did I put it? Sorry if it's taking a while.
It's okay. No worries. Also, so you're just to make sure you're getting a statement that says they can do what you're claiming they can do, right?
Yes,
So the thing, yeah, but the thing is, that's still you need to give some type of implication for this specific situation, though, like that they would actually be able to utilize it against Death. Just because they can or could doesn't inherently mean they would, and you'd have to give instances of that because, like, using one statement that may not inherently support what you're trying to do here, especially when
uh,
there's a lot of different comics and a lot of different runs.
well, so like basically all those use avatars. Like that's the main reason. Uh, there's like consistent statements that they do utilize avatars in those times, and that's why they are like massively nerfed. But if they go down in their true form, like they can use their actual strength.
Okay, so you have proof that they can go into the multiverse in their true form without breaking it.
Yes, that's what I'm getting.
Yeah, and again, that would have to somehow follow suit for that moment with Deathstroke, though, because how do we know in that moment they're in their true forms?
Um, it's was his true form that they put down there. Like he didn't go down there willingly. Like they literally took his true form, like just threw him down there because he wasn't really the nice guy. He wanted to kill all the gods, so that's how they dealt with him. So it's not just like some like random avatar he made that's like down there. Like no, that's like the gods just sealed up his true form down in Themyscira.
And that's one of the ones Deathstroke is capable of killing.
Yes. Though it's noted, of course, this is only because of the God Killer sword, which they note consists like it's literally made to kill the gods. Like that's the only reason he's able to actually do that. Of course.
Okay, so you're saying he's only going to be outer with this sword?
Uh, well, yeah, it's thanks to the sword, but like while he has the sword, it's like become fused with him in a way. So like they're connected as long as like it still belongs to him. Like he has the scaling, which
Well,
I can
here's the
also
other.
show.
Yeah, but you also mentioned that it's mainly because of the sword, which implies in itself that that sword is some type of like weakness or they're vulnerable to what it's made out of. So what if that doesn't scale to like their actual power in that regard? What if it's some type of like kryptonite per se
Oh no, so
for
this
them?
sword is made of the same exact like material as like the other weapons the gods use. It's made out of eighth metal, and basically that's like the metal that like all the gods' weapons are made out of. It's like the exact same thing as them. It's just like a really powerful blade.
Okay. And you're saying with the blade, this actually channels through him when he's using it. It channels like it would give him his suit like that durability or what?
Yeah, we see this cause like so with it, even when he like loses it, like he drops it and it flies away from him, like he does exactly like just tanks punches from Wonder Woman. And he said like goes on to even say that like yeah, you can continue beating me up, like punch me over and over as much as you want, but I'm going to outlast you. Just telling that at that point Wonder Woman can't really do anything to him, just like which I will they literally then say unless he uses amps and shit like that, he has no way of fighting on those levels in like in New 52. So he would the only way that could have happened is due to the God Killer sword, as the suit normally doesn't scale on those levels. At this like this suit specifically.
Okay.
Do you want me to post that statement? Because I can get that real quick.
Yeah, if you want to, go ahead and get it real quick. Yeah.
Yeah, give me a sec. Here's the scan.
Okay. Well, from the looks of it, though, even though he's apparently able to like outlast, he's still seemingly at a disadvantage here
Uh,
in that case with Wonder Woman though. Like he's literally on the ground in one of the panels.
yeah. So at this point, like he was holding back. His and we know this as like he later mentions when he fights Laperas. Like he makes note of that he either got stronger or he had been holding back against Wonder Woman. Like that's the reason he lost and was like on the ground. But his durability was still something that could like just take her punches and she'd tire out before he got knocked down like fully.
Okay. So now we can get to why the God Sphere is out reversal.
Yeah. Give me a second. I'm gonna get all those scans. Let me just get a few ones for consistency.
Sure thing.
Here's three statements. That the first one specifies that the like God sphere and realms within it are beyond all time and all space. The second one specifies like it's beyond any measure of space and time. And then another one for it being beyond space and time. I can get some more.
do you mind going into a little more detail as to why these statements inherently are outer? Because being
I
beyond space and time, that could also be a higher level of space and time. And I know
so
one says beyond any measure, but what does that mean per se in that context?
the context is very vague. So I'd assume it's any measurement of it or any so things such as that, because they don't explain the context exactly. That's just like they say it, and that's about it. The one that's more clear is the first one there I posted, and which part of it there's it specifically. Uh, yeah, it's at top there, like the pink thing, where it says like for the place is a place beyond all time and all space.
Yeah, but why would that inherently mean it's beyond the concept? What if it's just a higher level of dimensionality? It's just beyond that set, infinite set. It could just be another higher degree.
Well, that would still be space, and it specifies all space and all time, like any level of it. Because that they while they are
It says
higher,
any
they are.
level here.
No, it says all, like all time, like all space, and like higher dimension, like higher levels of space would still be like space.
Yeah, but at the same time, they could literally be referring to all space and all time within some set specific universe, for all I know in this.
No, okay, I'll get you some more then if you want.
Unless you can explain why it would be otherwise. But again, that could also be a possibility, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Is
fine. It's vague on its own. That's fine. I'll give you more, like some like more for why this would be outer. Give me a second. I get some scans.
well, just to say a little more on what I mean, right? It's that something could say beyond all space and all time, but in that particular context, or that statement rather, without more to go on, that could also be a possibility that it could just be referring to all the time and all the space within a specific like singular universe, or maybe a multiverse that only has like infinite 40 universes, just as an example. Like again, because the lack of context, it could potentially be both of those. It could be what you're saying, it could be this, but I don't see anything that suggests your weight holds a lot more than mine. They seem
Yeah,
pretty evened
I'm
out.
getting stuff for that. So just getting the scans. 'Cause I don't want to post like 500 of them, so I'm just gonna get them all like the most like clear ones.
Sure.
Uh, I'll get some more of if you want. But here's the stated of like the multiverse. I'm gonna get the map as well for the gods who are being above this. States like there's infinite dimensions, and I'm gonna get the map of the multiverse. Here's
Okay.
this for the gods who are being above that. And for just added stuff, I'm gonna get one more scan. And that is beings within the god sphere, such as the angels themselves. They made the actual concept of dimensions. Like the angels that you can check the map, it's basically details like the realms and all, and they specify heaven and like angels and stuff like that in the god sphere. And the angels are, or the beings that created the very concept of dimensionality and like dimensions.
Okay. Yeah, good stuff. I'll accept this being outer.
Okay, you want to move on to your scaling?
Sure. So, Black Panther, amped by the Tiger God, was able to bully an entity known as Logos. Now, Logos is chaos, order, and in-betweener all in one entity. This is important because the in-betweener on his own walks between all dualistic concepts and is himself a concept of concepts. And this is him merged with his masters, chaos and order. And we have Tiger God, Black Panther bullying this same Logos. And I'll go ahead and drop the scans for that.
Okay.
So here is Black Panther bullying Logos. Here is Chaos and Order absorbing, essentially absorbing In-Betweener, merging all of their beings into Logos. And here is evidence that says In-Betweener walks between all dualistic concepts and is himself the concept of concepts, putting him beyond all of these dualistic concepts, which involve space, time, reality here, illusion, death, life, etc. The list goes on.
Okay.
He's a concept of all those concepts.
Yeah, reading all this. Yeah, it's pretty blatant. I only have one question. That is, does Black Panther have to be in that like big ass like panther form to scale to this, or does he just do that? Like, can he be outside the big panther thing monster and still scale?
Well, as I mentioned, that's Black Panther with the aid and amp of the Tiger God. So this would be like comp, like as
I
Deathstroke has the God Killer sword in comp.
I meant like as if like can he leave and like just fight in a normal form, or does he have to fight in this?
Well, why would that be relevant? Like he's gonna obviously be fighting in this as it's part of comp. Like this is his amp.
Yeah.
Like it's not something he can just like inherently transform into. It was just another state of being he obtained with the Tiger God.
Okay.
So it's not like, say, for example, Ichigo or Goku, where sure you can maybe say, oh, even in comp, they could still start off in like maybe a base form and transform. But this isn't inherently that same thing, like him he doesn't just like say Tiger God morphin time or transformation or something like that, for example.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Okay. That's fine. I'll accept this as outer.
Okay, cool. So you want to move on to your first win con, or do you want me to go?
You can start.
Okay, so first I'm going to argue that Black Panther will use his vibranium energy daggers to phase through Deathstroke and essentially take him out in that regard, whether it be phase through his heart, his head, etc., etc. Point is, these energy daggers are able to phase through objects, stuff that's even labeled as indestructible, such as vibranium, for an example, or adamantium, for an example. And I'll get scans for that.
Okay.
All right, here you go. Yeah, it's pretty much his vibranium energy in general, but he does form them into daggers, yeah.
Okay.
But it's in general, yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna read through all these. Hmm. Okay, so one question. Would he start off with this at the start of the battle?
At the start of the battle.
Yeah.
So we see here with Namor, he immediately resorted to his vibranium energy, and then he proceeded to use it to dominate Namor. Like at the start of the fight right here. And as we see as it drags on, he kind of gets blown off, but then that's when he tosses like energy. He forms it into like actual energy, like balls and stuff, and tosses it. So he can do like multiple things with it. But yeah, he does start off. Yeah, he's known to do that with his vibranium energy.
Okay.
That's kind of like one of Wakanda's main shticks. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
so anything else?
Mm, no. Should be. Yeah. All questions. So my counter to this would be the icon suit has showcased that it's able to uh, negate intangibility. I'm gonna get this here. Someone tried facing being intangible and like entering Deathstroke's body, and the icon suit reacted to this and just completely negate it. And due to just how the icon suit functions, Death Slay doesn't have to do anything. It's just like the suit itself just does it for him.
Okay. So pretty much something trying to turn intangible right here, and his suit was able to stop it and kind of cancel it out, so to speak.
Uh, yeah, like in a way, like basically what happens is like so he tries facing through him and like go in, like enter his body with like the hand and all. The moment he does this, the suit like reacts and turns like the rest solid, but leaves the like stuff in him completely intangible, so it still doesn't do anything to him.
Well, what do you mean? Can you like you kind of cut out a second there? Can you
Oh,
say that again? Yeah.
okay. So basically, what happens is the guy like tries facing through him and like killing him by just facing, and the icon suit reacts to this and then just makes the rest of it solid, and like the body part left in him just knocks him to the ground for like a second, then he's up completely like fine.
So it actually would phase through him first, and then it protects him. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah. So it would actually be able to penetrate you in that regard first.
yeah, it would.
Okay. Well, that's the thing. Like Panther is going to go for the head or the heart, like vital spots. So it's like you're still going to get hit in one of those spots at first.
Okay, if that uh for that I'm going. Let's see. So which one of those is he most likely to go for?
I would say the head just to take you out immediately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that he did that to Ultron. So okay, uh, I might get my stuff. Give me a sec. I'm looking for a specific scan.
No worries.
Got it on my computer. So I'm gonna argue he would regenerate from this and come back to life with having adapted to this specific like ability. Reason for this is cause in comp, uh, he'd be like have fused with Doomsday due to an event like can't remember the name specifically, but in it like a bunch of characters became like fused together, and the one Deathstroke fused together with was Doomsday. I'm gonna get that one. Here's the one for Doomstroke, and I'm gonna show that they like when they do this, they gain the capabilities of both the people they fuse with. So he'd have Doomsday stuff, and then I'm gonna go on to explain why Doomsday would allow him to do this.
Okay. And did you say Doomstroke? That's
Yes,
funny.
that's its name. I
Yeah,
hate it.
that's actually hilarious.
Yo, you're
Yes.
stroking doom. You're stroking doom.
Yeah, the stroke of doom. But
Stop.
Okay, so you're saying in comp though he's merged with like Doomsday. That's
Yeah.
what you're saying. Well, the thing is, how long would this even take? Because you already admitted that yeah, it's obviously going to work, and you're going to have to be resorted to. You're going to have to resort to healing. So it's and coming back. So it's like when he goes for your brain and it goes through your skull into your brain, and you go to the floor. Like how long is it going to take for you to heal that and come back?
Uh, so through Doomsday's region, I'm gonna get that. Give me a sec. So his regeneration is really quick. Just give me a second. I'm gonna get the scans.
Also, so would you agree if you're able to regen, these things would still be able to phase through you throughout the fight if they hit you like the energy,
Um,
even if you're able to regen?
I would say most likely not, due to Doomsday's adaptation being like it's described that like whatever kills him, he just gains like resistance to and adapts to be able to handle that and not have it work on him again.
Well, how do we know? Well, yeah, but what if this when he first goes into like his brain? What if he's just like knocked unconscious and not like what if he just like instantly heals from it and it's not one of those adaptation moments where he has to stay dead for some unquantifiable amount of time, right? And then he comes back and adapts.
Uh,
Like
I'm
what
gonna
if
get
it's like as
some.
soon as he just gets yeah. Because like what I'm just wondering is like yeah, like what if as soon as it hits, it's like some type of instinct obviously for him to react. His healing is gonna like start healing him, so he may not even instantly like die in that regard and be able to like just adapt like so thoroughly, for example.
So he's shown that he can actually adapt even if he's technically not killed. Like he just needs to take it on him and he can still like adapt. I'm gonna get those as well. Uh, those are also my goddamn computer. Pain. Give me a sec. I gotta get them.
Right on.
So here's one of them. Doomsday, like he just gets like hit by Guardian's beams, and he immediately starts adapting. And like the first thing he does is like he gains the ability to start absorbing this energy, and then they describe like if this continues, he'll get like a full ability to resist it.
Okay.
Like the first evolution, we don't see him gain the second evolution, so we don't know exactly how long that would take. But the first evolution like happened like instantly almost. Maybe well, maybe I shouldn't say instant, but like a few seconds in their time at least. Like until he had gained the ability to just absorb it instead. And then they imply that, like, yeah, he's probably gonna get like the resistance pretty soon, since they treat it as like is a big deal, and it's not like they're gonna stand there for eternity before it happens.
Okay.
So I'd say he can adapt pretty quickly. At least, obviously, it would take longer to resist it fully, but. And then I'm gonna get another adaptation feat that Doomsday has actually just on screen shown, and that is he can adapt to just counter facing. That
Okay.
is, I'm gonna get that one, and that is just Doomsday in fight. He just adapted to be able to negate Martian Manhunter's facing abilities.
Okay. Cool.
So he can also adapt to stuff like that. There's that skin.
All right. Cool. So you want to go on to your first win con?
Yeah. Give me a second. I'm gonna get my scans. Need to find them specifically.
All right.
So I'm gonna argue that like his mere being releases like a toxin that just causes anything near him to wither and die. This is like it's just his skin that releases this.
Okay. So does this work on conceptual entities?
Hmm. So is Black Panther himself a conceptual entity? Because I saw him affect them. I already accepted that he can affect them, so he's like able to affect concept. But can you show him being a concept?
I can show you how, as when he's amped with the Tiger God, that's when he would be. That's one of the cases where he would be a conceptual entity, as the Tiger God in the scans I showed you as well was fighting on a conceptual level within the superflow.
Okay. Is that said in like any of the scans, or are you gonna post that?
Let me just double check one of the scans I posted.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, it literally says the power of the Tiger God allowed me to ascend to this plane, right? This conceptual plane, and he goes on in this very scan as well to say how combat on this level is metaphor, right? So he's pretty much saying it's like it's like fake, it's a metaphor, it's like more of an idea than reality on that level. It's a metaphor.
Hmm. I'll see if I have anything for this. Gotta check a specific scan. Give me a sec. Mm, can't find the scan, so uh, can't say this would affect concepts, this specific ability of his.
Yeah, so it's more just for like getting past conventional stuff, I would say, right?
Yeah, it might possibly be able to adapt to be able to do that in the future, since he has been able to adapt to be able to deal with concepts and so. So it is a possibility that the ability could do that in the future, but I have nothing to say that it would be that at the start. Of course, I can show you that it could adapt to that in the future if you want.
Well, I would like to see the specific poison directly affect conceptual entities and adapt itself, not just that he has adaptation and could potentially do it. That doesn't really help. Like it's one thing to like adapt and heal and like you shown stuff for the phasing, that's good, but adaptation, you'd have to show certain things for such a fundamental of an ability. Because again,
Uh,
this isn't just this is way beyond. This is far more fundamental than just like even spiritual stuff, mental stuff. This is like again conceptual level
yeah,
of fun. Yeah,
he has evolved to like and adapted to deal with conceptual beings and so.
yeah. With the I need to yeah, but you got to show with the poison, not just him. I
Okay,
already explained. Yeah.
oh, I missed that part. Sorry, but yeah, the poison I can't show that. So that's
Okay, so
why I
you just want
only
to drop
said it
the
as like
poison
a
part?
possibility at most. But yeah,
Okay,
want to move on to your WinCon next?
sure. But first, so you're dropping the poison point as a whole.
Yeah, sure. I can't prove what
Okay,
you want, so.
all right. So my next WinCon is going to be conceptual narrative manipulation.
Hmm. Okay. Um,
And
can you explain?
yeah, sure. So in Avengers No Road Home, Black Panther was put on the level, the same fundamental level as Nyx, and Nyx herself was manipulating all of the narratives within the structure known as the House of Ideas. She was rewriting it in order to recreate her own eternal cosmos. And Vision, along with the other heroes, they were summoned there, and together, like Black Panther was there, they, with their own narrative manip, overcame her narrative manipulation, her literally manipulating the fundamental creative force of all there is. And they managed to overwrite her own manipulation of the narrative and took her out and burned her out of the panels itself. So I'll get you the scans for that.
Okay.
I can.
Fill out.
So
Yeah, stay muted, please. All right. I'm going to be sending the scans very soon.
Okay.
All right. Here you go.
Okay. Let me just read all these. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seems good. I'll accept that. Uh, let me see. What can I do? Give me a second.
Sure. No worries, my hermano.
This is some potent shit.
Right on, right on, right on.
Hmm. Getting some stuff.
Everything good?
Yeah, I'm just getting some stuff, seeing what I can piece together.
Cool beans, man.
Gotta find a specific scan.
Specific scan, you say?
Yeah, here's, I think, yeah, this should be the one. And then,
Should be, huh?
yeah, let's see if I can make this work. Oh fuck, I forgot one scan. Give me a sec, I just need to get that one as well. Now I have it. So, I'm gonna argue that uh, Doomsday has been able to resist attacks from Darkseid, and Darkseid can affect the God Sphere. And the God Sphere itself is being described as like an archetypal place where everything itself is fiction. Like even when you're in it, they describe it as fiction. So it's not like some guy just exists above it, and they view it as like just story. So like it's literally people within it from the God Sphere they themselves that then they describe this place as being that. And Darkseid can affect this, and Doomsday has been able to resist attacks from him. Like Darkseid's normal punches and everything can affect this.
Where did Darkseid fight Doomsday at?
In the God Sphere.
And why does this place containing stories make it mean he's manipulating the concept of narrative, like conceptual narrative?
No, it doesn't contain. It
Because
is like it is story.
it's story, sure, but I'm not just dealing with story, I'm dealing with conceptual story.
Yeah. So and it's been stated that everything in the God Sphere and like the God Sphere itself is like conceptual in nature.
Also, I would like to point out, even if you're able to resist it, right? We clearly see Black Panther and them overcoming someone who also walked through the light of creation itself, which writes all of narrative in creation. She was completely unaffected by it, while it erased most of the other people there, washed them right away, and yet they were able to still overwrite her with that level of fundamentality. So
I'm confused. Uh, whether are you saying it's more fun? It's a more fundamental plot hacks, or are you arguing a layer? Because I don't expect you to have forgotten that layers are banned. So I just want to
I'm
ask
not
you
arguing
for
a layer. I'm just saying
clarification. Like, are you arguing this is a more fundamental, like, than just normal conceptual plot or something?
I'm not inherently arguing a layer. But before we get to that, where is the scan of Darkseid resisting the Omega beams?
Oh, okay, I can get that one. Uh, give me a sec.
Yeah, because what I was about to do isn't inherently arguing a layer, but we'll get to that soon. But first, I'd like to see him actually resisting it, because
Yes.
you did assert that. Yeah.
Yeah. So here it is. Like Darkseid thinks he's killed him, Doomsday just punches his way out and is like perfectly fine.
So yeah, I actually would argue mine would be more fundamental, as mine would be conceptual meta narrative manipulation.
Hmm. Let me think.
Yeah. What they're working with, I would argue, is more fundamental because, for one, we already have eternity himself already conceptually embodying narrative. This is impressive because, again, Nyx is rewriting the fundamental creative force that made all of that what it is. This is a much larger and more fundamental meta narrative than even something that conceptually embodies narrative itself. As meta, that means beyond, like metaphysics, that's beyond the physical.
Yeah,
Meta, yeah.
yeah. I already know of those scans, so you don't actually have to post them. Like I've seen those
Okay.
before, so uh, give me a second.
Yeah. So just to touch on it a bit more, I'm essentially manipulating something that's more fundamental than a structure that's already conceptually embodying narratives, as what you're pretty much showing here for the God sphere. So mine would actually be more fundamental than that.
Yeah. Hmm. Let's see. Ye-
You good?
yeah. Thinking of what to do. Uh, might have something. Well, let's. So I'm going to argue that. Hmm. Just a question: are you going to change my narrative or destroy it?
Or you're going to be burnt away, yeah. Like you're going to be burnt away from narrative itself, like they did here, how they burnt Nyx from the comic panels itself.
Okay.
Like on that fundamental of a level, yeah.
Okay. Hmm. Let's see. Might have something here. So I'm gonna argue that Deathstroke can heal from the anti-life equation, which can destroy the like monitor sphere, and like the stuff in the monitor sphere is described as hyper narrative. So it's like a higher form of narrative, a more fundamental part of it. I'm gonna show him like just regenerating and like negating the anti-life equation due to this. And I'm gonna get the anti-life equation being able to destroy all that.
Okay. But how do we, yeah, even if it is able to destroy that, how do we know he's inherently using that same amount on Slade in that like literal moment though? Like to such a fundamental degree.
So this isn't anyone specifically using it. This is the anti-life equation itself, just trying to spread as much as possible. It's a so the whole thing with deceased, it's basically the anti-life equation. Darkseid wanted it, and he accidentally mixed it up and mutated it, giving it like new properties thanks to the Black Racer. So like everything it touches and like in just enters is corrupted and like turned into like a zombie-like creature, and they're like killed immediately from it. And give me a sec.
Yeah, I don't see where this is going, to be honest.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I don't have anything. uh, I start to realize I couldn't do anything with that. Yeah, I don't have anything for this.
All right. Was that a GG?
Yeah,
All right. It was fun,
fuck.
my dude.
GG,
Yeah,
that was a pretty good debate.
Yeah. You can start the recording now.
yeah.